Hi, David. How are you today? Thank you so much for sitting down with me and having a cup of espresso.
I'm good, Tony. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. It's the first day back from vacation, so you know it's always great and overwhelming when you come back from vacation. So, David, tell us a little bit about Grandma Jones. Tell us, it's nationwide. I want to hear more about that. How did you get started in 2010, and how did you grow to a nationwide organization?
Wow, I don't know if we have enough time for that today, Tony, but I'll try to give you the short version. So I started this in 2010. I owned a home care agency. Had to come from a corporate career. There was the big recession in 2008, 2009, and just kind of got burnt out on my main job back then was making rich people richer, and kind of had a soul searching and decided not to leave that whole career. My mother, Joan, was an RN at that time. She probably had been an RN for about 50 years and just kind of grew up with, she always just was so peaceful and like slept like a rock every night and like no stress. Like her job was to help. She got paid to help people. Like what a great job, like getting paid to help people. And I remembered what a professor of mine said back in college many years ago. Said, David, no matter what you go into, make sure it has something to do with senior care. And this was back 30 years ago. And I kind of combined everything and said, you know what, I'm going to go into senior care. And that's how I kind of got into the business. I didn't know what I was doing. I made millions of mistakes. But one of the learnings I had early on was that the home care model wasn't right for everybody. And one of my clients stopped using my service. I had to live in with him. And I did an exit survey with him. And I said, why are you ending service? And he basically said, because my mom is in a condo. She can't sell it. She doesn't have the money to afford you. We still need the care. She had Alzheimer's, but we just can't afford to do this the right way or through your agency. They loved their living. Her name was Edna. And I was like, all right, I moved on. About 2 weeks later, he called me up crying. His name was Jim. And he was a 60-year-old man, just saying he hired two girls from Craigslist and they took cash for half the price of what he was paying me. And basically they did some bad things and abandoned his mom. And he just wanted his caregiver back. He wanted a professionally screened live-in, but for less money that he was paying for me and more say. And basically I felt bad for the guy. I called the caregiver and said, hey, will you go work for Jim's mom? I forget the client's name. But she's like, yeah, I'd love to. And they worked out an agreement for a one-time fee that he paid me. He got to contract independently with her. And it was a win. The caregiver made like 20, 30% more than I was paying her. He paid 20, 30% less, or actually about 50% less. And everybody was, and I got I got some one-time money. And everyone was like, ooh, wait, there's a business here. And that was the birth of it. I still ran the agency for about 3 years after that, but I went over into this model with the idea, and it just grew and grew and grew. And people would say, I know a guy in New Jersey who can do this and do that. And back then I used to do hourly too. So it kind of grew really quick. And next thing you know, I went from New Jersey to New York to Pennsylvania to Connecticut, like all over. And then it overtook my agent. I closed my agency. I stopped taking new clients on the agency. I said, this is a real business. And I opened up a whole new LLC in 2014 named Grandma Joan. Before that, it was the service of my agency and focused 100% on it. And that's where kind of was born what it is. So I changed it to now it got too big. I just do live-ins. And that's how I can do this nationwide from my house, my home office in New Jersey, because I'm doing the screening, the vetting, finding the best live-ins in the country. All of it, modern recruiting is all done online. Back when I was in corporate, they did the same thing. We had two corporate recruiters, one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast. They did all your recruiting. And then you did the final interviews. The only interview that really matters is the final one with the client. And so I realized, hey, wait, I can do this in other states and so on. And there's some states I don't operate in, but otherwise I'm coast to coast.
And you don't operate in some states because of laws or
because the labor laws. So the labor laws don't match with my model of helping people find a hands-on caregiver. So I don't operate in Connecticut, Illinois, New Jersey, Nevada, South Carolina, Utah, and West Virginia. I also don't do Alaska just because I tried early on. It's just too hard to get caregivers to relocate to Alaska. They're like, no, give me Florida, give me Texas. Like they don't want to go to Alaska. It's just kind of too cool, too
So
chill.
sometimes these folks relocate to go
Oh,
work for
almost
people.
100% of the time. And that's
Really?
what makes it so easy.
It's almost like a traveling nurse service.
Exactly. So it's
Oh, I love the model, David.
because of the caregiver shortage. It doesn't matter what the shortage is, where your client is.
Right.
They're just jumping on an airplane and relocating to wherever they are. And these are the people I work with, because I work with very discerning families. This is not cheap, right? It's
no, I know.
Families.
We did it.
All
my
right.
family did it for my mother. I know it's not cheap. It's it's usually $100,000 a year.
Yeah, you're right. You're right around there. To get someone to do this the right way, and that's the I get so many referrals from care managers because I don't just do this. I do this the legal right way. So
I understand.
Your clients in Florida, what are the laws in Florida for domestic live-in? What are the federal laws that affect you? What about the payroll taxes? What about workers' comp insurance? What about liabilities?
Absolutely.
So I handle all this. It's a turnkey solution for families who have a high hour need, right? And they want someone who's really premium. Someone has very strong recommendations from other clients. So, because I only work really with discerning families, for a caregiver to get past my screening, because almost anyone's going to pass a background check, right? We do that. 15-year criminal. Anyone can pass a drug test. Hopefully, pass a drug. We do 10-panel drug test. But the main screening is speaking to the previous families that they've already done this with. Because anyone interviews well. They can interview great. They're professional interviewers. They do 10 interviews a week, whatever it is. But to actually speak to the families that have used them, you find out the real dirt. And they'll say, like, keep them out of the kitchen. They're a horrible cook. But dad's skin was always perfect. Mom loved her. I don't know what we would have done with her for those last 3 years. She sung at my dad's funeral. And like it's the really top notch.
Wow.
And then my job is to line up the family. Like, think of me as an executive recruiter that specializes just in, I'm a headhunter for premium live-ins for your client. No, it doesn't matter where they are. The zip code, that could be cold weather, warm weather, it doesn't matter. I'll get them, and I'll give them 2 or 3 premium options. And then they'll interview usually by Zoom. Some of my clients are very well-to-do, and they'll fly them out for interviews, for face-to-face.
Sure.
And so on.
No, I get it. Our family did that for my mother. A friend was in home care, trained this gal. I used her 17 years ago with my husband, as he died of cancer. And then we used her again for 3+ years with my mother. Absolutely, totally get it.
You're my new spokesman, Tani. You're my new spokesman.
I got to tell you,
spokesperson.
For those families that want to do this, it's great. And some of the long-term care insurance paid for some of it. She eventually could not get to the shower on her second floor. There was no shower on the first floor. Yes, we looked into a stair thing, goes up and down the stairs. Yes, we looked at adding another bathroom to the house. Long and the short of it was, she ended up in long-term care eventually, and Molly went with her.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Molly stayed with my mom to the very end. And yes, she was in the hospital the night my mom died. And yes, she came to the funeral. And yes, she comes to all family functions. So I get it. What a great thing to be doing for families that need that.
It is. And it helps out care managers so much, because you may be in a situation where your client desperately wants to stay home. The kids probably don't. The kids are like, let's go to assisted living. And that may even be the best choice. But when the parent they really want to stay home, what do the kids do? And this gives people an option, saying, well, at least let's try to make this happen. It may not.
Right. Let's
try to make this happen.
It worked for 3 years for us.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't step up anymore to get up to the shower.
Yeah. So it gives them that option in there.
Absolutely.
And I hold their hand through the whole thing I give them all the legal contracts. I walk them through their state. Like, I literally I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times with families across the country. And then let's say there's a problem. Let's say that 6 months later, it's not working out, or it's not a right fit, or something like that. I don't just run away. I put a 1-year satisfaction guarantee on any placement. If they're going to come through me, I'm going to put my stamp approval on.
I love that. Executive recruiters do that, because I did executive recruiting. I love doing executive recruiting, and just got into that profession a little late in my career. I also really enjoy associations. So now I'm doing association work. Yay. But wow, that's wonderful, David. Congratulations on this.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm sure our members use you all the time.
So yeah, I spread through, I get really through word of mouth. I did no advertising for the first few years, nothing.
Wow.
It was just word of mouth. And then someone recommended in 2017, I was working with about 10 care managers around the country. They said,
Wow.
Dave, I belong to this organization, Alka, and you should consider joining it with your reach. You have such a unique service. I'm sure there's other people that have never
Yes.
heard of you.
Yes.
And I was like, all right. And I'm so glad. I think it was Doris Haas from Florida.
Yay.
I don't remember. And from there, I've done 2 national conferences. I've written for your blog. I've done e-flashes. I do a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of consults. Care managers call me up and say, hey, I don't know that much about living. Just tell me a little about it. And I give them free consults. And half the time I tell them it's not going to work. Like your client really needs true 24-hour care.
Right.
If mom's up all night or something like that.
Right.
Living does not work. There's laws that govern this.
Yes.
For the right client, it's a perfect solution. For most clients, it's actually not the perfect solution. And I'm very honest with care managers like that. So you can quiz me on the laws in your state and so on. And I've had managers call me up. They arrange it themselves.
Right.
And know about these laws, and they were completely doing it wrong. And the client can get in so much trouble financially and so on. And so you can just call me up for quiz my knowledge. I've been doing this 10 years. It's all I do. So, I don't know everything, obviously, but I can certainly steer you the right way and says, yeah, that's a good idea. You can try it on your own. If you want to come through me, I can certainly help your client with it.
Plus, you have all these people that do this and then will travel and go live with somebody in a different state. David, thank you. This is just great. Thank you for taking time to have a cup of coffee with me or espresso with me. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And we'll watch for this on YouTube. Thanks, all.
All right, great. All right, thanks, buddy. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.